My name is Siddhi Dayanand Patil and today's date is 20 July 2021. Today's daily video topic is what is exception handling in Java. As the name suggests, exception handling is used to handle the exception in the program. Exception handling is the mechanism uh, in which the runtime error is handled by the Java. There can be an exception, that means class not found exception, input output exception. These are the different types of exception can be handled by the Java. What is the advantage of using the exception handling? A core advantage of the exception handling is to maintain the normal flow of the program. That means if we have a program in which we have the 10 statement to execute, and if the exception is happen at the line number 5, that means it will throw the exception, and it will not execute the code from the 6 to 10. That means it will interrupt the whole program. If we write the exception handling at the number fifth, uh, that means exception handling is mainly used for the to not. So in Java there are two types of exception handling. First is the built-in exception handling, and the second one is the user-defined exception handling. First we'll see what is the built-in exception handling. Built-in exception handling, that means the exception handling code is already defined in the Java. There are different types of built-in exception handling. Now first is the arithmetic exception. Second is the array out of bound exception. Next is the string out of bound exception. Class not found, this is also one type of exception. Input output exception, file not found exception, null pointer exception, interrupted exception. There are a number of built-in exception in Java. We will see what is we will see one by one each. First is the arithmetic exception. This exception is thrown when and the exceptional condition is has occurred in an arithmetic operation. That means, for example, divide by 0, it is an arithmetic exception. In our program, if the number is divided by 0, then it will throw an arithmetic exception. Next is what is the array out of bound exception. That means if we are accessing the illegal index, that means negative index or the greater than the size of array index, it will throw the array index out of bound exception. Same for the string out of bound exception. In that case is also when we are accessing the character at the index which is illegal or the greater than the length of the string, it will throw the string out of bound exception. Next is the class not found exception. In that exception, if we are try to access the class which is not defined in the program, it will throw the class not found exception. Next is the file not found exception. If we are accessing the file which is not able to open, or which is not in the uh, uh, which is not we are not able to open that file, it will throw an file not found exception. Next is the method not found exception. In that case, if we are trying to access the method which is not defined in the class, it will throw an method not found exception. Next is the input output exception. If our input or output is interrupted, then it will throw the input output exception. Next is the interrupted exception. It is thrown when a thread is sleeping, waiting, or processing the some other task. Then uh, interrupted exception is thrown. So next is the no such field exception. When we are trying to access the field or variable which is not present in the class, then the no such field exception is occurred. So next is the null pointer exception. Uh, if the string object has the null, that means a string object contain nothing, and then if we are try to access the length of that string, then null pointer exception is thrown. So next is the runtime exception. It is thrown at the runtime. So these are the different types of built-in exception. So next we will see what is the user-defined exception. There are some exception which cannot be handled by the built-in exception. So in that case, we can make our own exception by using the user-defined exception. So if there are some cases in that built-in exception is not useful, so we can make our own exception which is called as the user-defined exception. So there are mainly two types of exception. First is the checked exception, and the second one is the unchecked exception. So checked in exception is also called as the compile time exception, and the unchecked is also called as the runtime exception. So what is mean by checked exception? The class which directly inherit the throwable class at the compile time, it is called as the checked exception. So on the other hand, when the throwable class is inherit at the runtime, so it is called as the unchecked exception. So SQL exception and the input output exception are the types of the checked exception, and the arithmetic exception, null pointer out of bound exception, or the array out of bound exception. So these are the unchecked exception. So in order to achieve the exception handling, we have to use the different kinds of keywords. So that means there are 5 keywords we are using while writing the code for the exception handling. So these 5 keywords are the try, catch, finally, throw, and the throws. So what is try? So in that we can write the exception code. So that means whenever we have write the try, so it should follow the catch or the finally keyword. So that means we cannot use the try keyword alone. So what is the catch? So in that catch block, we are handling the exception. That means if we have found the exception in the try block, so it will catch in the catch block. So that means catch block is preceded by the try block. That means we can't use the catch block alone. But we can make the nested try catch also. In that try, we can make nested try catch also. So what is the finally keyword? So in that finally block, we can write the important part of the code. So next keyword is the throw. Throw is used to throw and the exception. So this keyword is used for the throw and exception. So next keyword is the throws. So this throws keyword is used for the to declare the exception. So that means it doesn't throw an exception, but uh, it specifies that there may exception may occur. So throws keyword is used for the for that declaration of that exception. So these are the 5 keywords are used in the exception handling. Try, catch, finally, throw, and throw. By using these 5 keywords, we can achieve exception handling in Java. So this is all about the what is exception handling, different types of exception handling, and which keyword we can use for the exception handling. Next is the exception propagation, which means exception is thrown from the top. If it is not caught by the previous method, then it is again thrown from that method. uh, or if it is again not called by the again previous method, then it is again thrown. It is thrown until it gets caught, or until it reach the bottom of the stack. So it is called as the exception propagation. So this is all about the exception in Java. So thank you so much.